What's up, everyone? Ken here from Pop Culture Junkies. I'm here to talk to you about what's going on with Diamond, comic distribution, and what it means to you. So, a little history for everyone who's not familiar with Diamond as a distributor for comics and kind of how they play in the entire scene of comics and how they get to your local comic shop, newsstands, and other places. For years, Diamond's really been the biggest and sometimes only distributor for certain comics and groups of comics. It wasn't always that way historically. There were other distributors and players in the market. Really, Diamond consolidated a lot of that business. Really, where the market sat not too long ago is Diamond really was the biggest player in the game as far as comic distribution across pretty much all publishers in the United States, potentially even worldwide. In March of 2020, due to the coronavirus, Diamond stopped distribution. Publishers did not like this. It stopped their flow of income. Whether it was right or wrong for them to do it, whether they had the operational capacity to do it, all those questions I'm not going to really get into in this video. In June of 2020, DC decided to leave Diamond. In March of 2021, Marvel decided to leave Diamond. DC went one way with their distribution, Marvel went another. They did not go to the same place. And in September of 2021, IDW left Diamond, another publisher. More publishers will likely follow suit. What does this all mean for you as the consumer on the back end? I thought it was all good news. My history with Diamond, I've had a lot of books damaged, a lot of books I ordered, expected my local shop to get in. They didn't get in because they were damaged in shipment, they were shorted on shipments. Diamond was always the bad guy that I got to blame. It wasn't my shop's fault, it was Diamond's fault. But for me, they were the bad guy, and I was more than happy to hear news of people leaving them. What I found out, though, talking to local comic shop owners, the people on the business end of this, is that these transitions were not going all that smooth for them. I spoke with Keith Boyle from I Want More Comics and Tom Stoltzfus from More Fun Comics and Games in Texas. You'll see links to their sites in the comments. Support your local comic shops, everyone. We need them. What I really found out was the new distributors it's taking a lot of work for the local comic shops to put in orders, deal with ordering. It takes somewhere on 40 man hours per week just for ordering, facilitation of orders, etc. for a single store. What this means is they're really paying someone for 1 week to just deal with ordering. When you have to do that for each new place that people are setting up as a distributor, each time it gets more involved, that means these shops now have to pay more man hours to get this done, right? That's more revenue that instead of generating revenue, it's going to have to pay for other things. That's not good from a business standpoint. At some point, even though you're saying they're generating revenue, at some point the work isn't worth the revenue. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, so to speak. That's what you're starting to see with stores. With more publishers leaving and potentially going elsewhere or going to distributors who don't have as refined a process, you're going to see these hours jump drastically for shops. That's not good for their workflow. Again, it costs money to make money, and it's costing them more money to make the same amount or less money. What you also find is there's no more single point system to go to for issues. You have multiple distributors. When you encounter a problem, you have multiple people you have to go to sort the problem out. You have multiple ordering and receiving systems. With Diamond, they had a single point system, right? They logged into one system, they did all of their ordering, and they were able to deal with issues with this one person when it arose. Now they're having to deal with DC's distributor, Marvel's distributor, if someone else jumps in the game, and they're still having to deal with Diamond, right? So there's at least 3 big ones they're having to deal with. And so anytime that there's ordering and receiving, these are all done on 3 different systems, 3 different inventory systems, 3 completely different types of ordering systems. Again, a lot more work to get the same job done. For me, on the user end, I didn't realize it was as complicated and difficult for them. So it was really enlightening. I really appreciate Keith and Tim taking the time to give me a lot of this information and kind of peel back the onion or pull back the curtain and show me some of the inner workings behind the scenes. According to talking with Tim, most stores, most comic shops use one of 3 different point of sale systems. So when you're at the register checking out, it's probably one of 3 systems that they're using to do that. Those systems were in a large part built to use the data files that Diamond put out. Diamond's been putting those out for new product data, orders, invoices, etc. When Marvel moved to Penguin Random House, that's their new distributor, these files weren't mimicked in the same way and they weren't put out in the same fashion. It causes multiple cascading issues. The data files, for those of you who are data junkies, are really just a comma separated list, right? Comma separated values in your typical spreadsheet, similar that you'd see in the majority of spreadsheets around the world. They can be manipulated to work and match and fit how you want. Diamond had one system and you knew what your columns were and where your data was, and that this was standardized across the industry, and these 3 point of sale systems knew where to look for this information, import this info, and everything worked very smoothly. Now these lists, these data files are not the same, and so what's having to happen is comic shops are having to go in, manually manipulate these files to get the data where they need it to be, to import it then into their point of sale system. Again, more man hours, more work, more on the back end that makes it not worth it on the front end. That's not good. What you're gonna start to see potentially is a lot of shops who can't maintain this, or again, where the juice isn't worth the squeeze and they hit that breaking point to where it's just not worth doing business anymore. I think for a minute too, it's good to talk about what it takes to run a store. A lot of people think it's you get some money, you order some comic books, you put them on a rack and you sell them and you rake in the dough. That's not what happens, particularly for your comic shops that have multiple employees, especially if they have to do any kind of pay regarding benefits, onboarding. You have to realize that hiring a new associate means orientation hours. Orientation hours are lost. It's just lost revenue. You're paying someone who's not actually doing the work, they're watching someone else do the work. If you have an orientation plan or program that takes weeks to months, that's weeks to months of just free revenue that you're paying in hopes that you'll recoup revenue later on down the road and get more work done. But there's always a potential that you don't. Some employees don't work out. Some employees no call, no show, and you have to fire and terminate them. And then you have to post ads, and then you have to hire new employees. And you go through all these multiple costs to get employees working in your store, working for your business. You have the lights that you have to keep on. All of these are costs that you continually have to pay. There's heat, there's electric, there's just maintenance in a lot of places. There's just the daily cleaning. Who's cleaning the bathroom? Who's vacuuming? Who's doing all of these things? Because if someone's doing that, they're not doing ordering and other stuff, right? People don't realize that there's all these costs and overhead that go into doing business. It's why you'll see a lot of premium prices in brick and mortar stores versus eBay and online. Those online only shops don't have to pay that overhead. It's just the unfortunate way that the world has worked out, the way it's evolved, what the internet's brought with it. But brick and mortar stores still have to find a way to cover this overhead. And when you make them spend more time and money on their ordering and processing, it increases that overhead to keep things going. So I did reach out to Tim, like I said, ask for some kind of specifics of, these are all the things that are going on in the current system. Penguin Random House, not the greatest communicators, not the greatest data files, very confusing between multiple systems, between the system DC's using, the system Marvel's using, the system that Diamond did use in the past and does use now. At the very least, it functions with their point of sale system. I did talk to Keith Boyle, like I said, from I Want More Comics, to get a little more information from him as well. This isn't all coming from me, guys. This is coming from actual shop owners, like I said, who filled me in on the situation. I was cheering when I heard Diamond was having issues. I've had issues with Diamond so long on the consumer end. I was more than happy for them to experience some issues on the supply side end. I didn't realize the negative effect it was having on my local shop though. So a lot of issues now. Uploading a file that ignores your ratio variance because you didn't qualify. Why didn't you qualify? Because you haven't finished putting in your order, but it won't let you put in the ratio variant yet because you haven't finished your order. But you need to finish your order to put the variant in, which is where it's at in the shopping cart. You see this negative feedback loop that's going on here. That's the thing your local shop dealer is dealing with every week now, ordering comics for you. Working on a system with poor technology, so every update necessitates a full reload of the page when you're updating anything to do in your cart, instead of it just updating automatically. 10 to 20% of the cover images not being available before you commit to an order, so you don't know what the cover looks like. We all know that yes, Artgerm can put out a great cover. Sometimes he doesn't though, and you may not want 300 of them. You may want to just buy 20 because you feel like it's going to be a bust. But if those images aren't available, that's what's happening in the new systems. They're having to take a risk and a big buy on books that may not sell that well. Multiple shopping carts on a site, since every final order cutoff has its own separate shopping cart, which is kind of crazy. Like, can you imagine shopping online on eBay or somewhere and you have 12 shopping carts? I don't even know why they designed a system that way. I applaud all the shop owners out there who are dealing with that, because it seems maddening and frustrating on a level I can't explain. The best resource for them to not miss a title, an XLS file sent out by their head of client services that doesn't even make it to every shop. So your one resource to make sure that you're going to get everything you need, it might not even get to you on a given day or week. As a shop owner in a small business, like you're dependent on this, right? The bigger stores aren't dependent on this. They can take a few hits. Your smaller mom and pop shops, they're dependent on that steady flow of income. Your average shop owner may not have a whole lot of money in the bank or in savings, and they may be actually living shipment to shipment. You never know. And so when that money is not available because they haven't been able to update orders and things, because they haven't gotten this file, because it doesn't happen on a routine basis when it should, puts them in a really bad spot. So really wanted to give you guys some insight. I appreciated the insight from the shop owners I spoke to. Again, huge shout out to Tim and Keith. You can find links to their shops below. Support your local comic shops, guys. They're working hard to get us the books we all love. And sometimes when we think something's a good thing for the industry, it turns out it really isn't. It's kind of like someone made a wish on the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw curled a little bit, and now Diamond's losing business, but it's really going to hit us the hardest, and that's really unfortunate. I really hope they're able to sort these things out at Penguin Random House and the other distributors, and we'll see what the future holds. Hope you guys appreciate the insight into the industry. I know I enjoyed it. If you like this kind of content, remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.